You don't look like someone who handles that kind of money. Those words hit me like a slap, even though the woman behind the counter said them with a smile so casual you'd think she was just commenting on the weather. I stood there, hands wrapped around an old leather purse that had followed me through more boardrooms and late-night flights than I could count, and all I could do was breathe slow. In that moment, I wasn't the chairwoman of a multi-billion-dollar investment group. I wasn't the woman who had just approved a deal bigger than the annual budget of a small country. I was just another black woman in a cardigan and beat-up sneakers, standing in line at a shiny downtown bank, being told again that I didn't belong. See, that morning I'd been in a glass tower signing off on a $3 billion asset transfer. By noon, I was at this branch asking to take out $75,000 in cash. Not for me. For a housing project in one of the neighborhoods the city had forgotten. And I came here to this specific branch because the complaints had been piling up. Black customers walking in and walking out, humiliated, delayed, denied. I wanted to see it for myself. And oh, did I see it. The teller, a young blonde woman with nails so sharp they clicked against the keyboard, gave me that look, head-tilted smile, thin eyes flicking from my cardigan to my purse like she was reading a story she already knew. "Good afternoon," I said, laying my ID and debit card down neat. "I'd like to withdraw $75,000. She froze. Her fingers hung in the air. "I'm sorry. Did you say 75,000? Her voice pitched higher, louder, so the businessmen behind me looked up. And then with a grin that cut deeper than any curse word, she said, "Are you sure about that amount, sir?" She knew exactly what she was doing. Before I could answer, here came the manager. Mid-30s, slick tie, the type who struts like the lobby was built for him alone. He introduced himself as if I hadn't noticed his name tag. Mr. Bennett. He leaned on the counter, voice dripping with authority. "That's quite a sum. Are you certain you even have an account here that could handle that?" I met his stare. Calm, steady. "I'm certain. And yes, I'd like the cash today." He laughed, but it wasn't really a laugh. More like the sound people make when they think they've already caught you in a lie. "And what exactly would you need 75,000 in cash for?" "It's for a community project," I said, just as calm. He and the teller exchanged a look, the kind that says, "We know what this is." Then came the stall tactics, clicking through screens, sighing loud enough for the lobby to hear calling over the security guard to observe. Now this guard, Mr. Lewis, older black gentleman, with eyes that had seen too much, he looked at me with confusion, not suspicion. He didn't get why they were turning a routine withdrawal into a full Broadway performance. But he did what they asked. He stood nearby, arms folded, while the circus continued. "Additional identification," the manager barked, though my license and card were already on the desk. "We'll need to verify some account history. Sarah, call compliance." The teller disappeared to the back, whispering to another employee while peeking at me like I was shoplifting. Minutes dragged on. 15, 20, 30. Other customers came and went. Men in suits walked in, got their transactions done in 5 minutes flat, walked out. Meanwhile, I sat there, the suspicious one. Finally, the manager returned, folder in hand, like it was evidence in a trial. He raised his voice so everyone could hear Mrs. Johnson. "I need to ask you directly, do you have legitimate legal access to this money?" The lobby went silent. An older white woman stopped filling out her slip. 2 guys near the ATM leaned closer. I felt every eye in that marble-floored temple of respectability on me. I kept my face neutral, though inside I felt that old burn anger and humiliation braided together. "Excuse me, could you repeat that?" He did louder this time. "Do you have legal access to this money? Because based on your account history and frankly your presentation today, I have serious doubts." Presentation. That word hung heavier than the chandeliers above us. Translation. You don't look the part. I typed 2 texts under the counter, one to my head of HR, one to our chief legal counsel. Discrimination in progress. Need documentation. Prepare for action. Then I slid the phone back in my purse and folded my hands. Calm, always calm. The teller came back grinning like she just won a bet. We've spoken with compliance. We're placing a temporary hold on this account. She said it sweet, but the venom was obvious. Whispers rippled through the lobby. Somebody pulled out a phone and started recording. Then another. A young woman near the door began live streaming, her voice cracking with disbelief. Y'all, this is insane. They're treating her like she's robbing the place. The manager wasn't done. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to step aside. Please wait in the customer service area while we complete this investigation. He gestured to a row of hard plastic chairs that looked like a penalty box. I walked over, sat tall, and waited. Let them dig their hole deeper. Minutes later, he raised his voice again. I'm calling the police. We can't have fraudsters disrupting this branch. That word fraudsters echoed through the lobby like smoke. The guard, Mr. Lewis, stepped closer, whispering, Ma'am, you okay? You need water. His kindness was the only human thing I'd been shown since I walked in. And then, the phone at the counter rang. Loud, sharp. The teller picked up her voice, suddenly shaky. Yes, sir. He's right here. She turned pale. Mr. Bennett, it's for you. It's Mr. Carter. Now the name meant nothing to the crowd, but it knocked the color right out of Bennett's face. Mr. Carter was the CEO of the entire bank. He answered, tried to sound calm. Sir, this is Bennett at the downtown branch. And then Carter's voice booming, clear enough that half the lobby could hear Robert Bennett. You are to stop whatever you're doing immediately. Do you understand me? The customer you've been harassing is Elaine Johnson. She is the chairwoman and CEO of Johnson Capital Holdings. She owns 60% of this bank. She is quite literally your boss's boss's boss. Gasps erupted. Phones went higher in the air. The live stream audience tripled in minutes. The teller stared at me like she'd just seen a ghost. I stood, walked back to the counter, and set down a simple white card. Elaine Johnson, chairwoman and CEO, Johnson Capital Holdings. Silence broke like glass. An older gentleman who had been watching chuckled deep, shaking his head. Lord have mercy, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. The manager froze, mouth half open, eyes darting between me, the card, and the still live phone line with his CEO. The teller whispered, She owns the bank. I looked Bennett in the eye. Mr. Carter is still on the line. Perhaps you'd like to explain how you've treated one of your largest shareholders today. The entire lobby erupted, laughter, gasps, people narrating to their phones. The live stream comments flew across screens. She owns it. She owns the whole thing. Within minutes, my team had arrived. Legal HR board members dialing in on tablets. The branch turned into a war room. Bennett was terminated on the spot. The teller suspended. And I didn't stop there. I announced right there in the lobby that Johnson Capital Holdings would withdraw $2.5 billion of assets until we saw proof this bank could treat its customers, all its customers, like human beings. The shock was nuclear. Stock prices dipped that very evening. News outlets replayed the live stream on a loop. The hashtag #HatBankOwner revealed trended nationwide. 3 days later, I stood behind a podium, cameras flashing. What happened to me, I told reporters, happens to millions of Americans every single day. The only difference is, I had the power to do something about it immediately. Most people don't. Behind me, screens showed statistics about racial disparities in banking numbers that had always been there but rarely discussed. I laid out our answer, the Banking for All initiative. $100 million to fund scholarships, community projects, and systemic reform in financial institutions that wanted to change. Because real power, I told them, doesn't come from humiliating the people who humiliated you. Real power comes from building systems where humiliation can't happen in the first place. And as the cameras flashed, I thought of the guard who had quietly asked if I was okay. The old man who spoke up. The young woman live streaming. They all understood this wasn't just about me. It was about every person who's ever been told, you don't look like someone who belongs here. So now I'll leave it with you. If you'd been in that lobby watching them treat me like a criminal, would you have spoken up or stayed quiet? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just my story. It's America's. And every time we stay silent, the system wins.